going to end the day with a musician, not just any musician. Salman Ahmad, he's a professor, he's a doctor, Sufi Muslim American rock star, and he sold over 30 million records worldwide. Now, I'm almost embarrassed to say that prior to getting involved in this TEDx event, I had never heard of Salman Ahmad or his band Junoon. And it just makes you realize how little you know about the world, no matter how long you've been around. And last night, I was really tired. There was so much to do. It was about 10:30, and I said, I have to listen to at least one song by Junoon, or I won't feel like I've done my job. Around 11:30, after I listened to like 10 songs, I checked my email, and I think I got the 1200 from Jamie that said, "It's 10:30, you better go to bed now." But I was so compelled by the music, and one of the songs that I listened to was Goom. Boom, chaka, boom. Spin, wheel, spin. And you play an incredible guitar solo. I mean, if you like incredible shredding guitar solos, please go home, get on the internet, go to YouTube, and look up Goom. The singing, the guitar playing, it just really opened up my eyes. And now, I said I was embarrassed to say I had never heard it, but I'm so glad I did listen. I now have more music to love. So I give you Salman Ahmad.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here today. I want to thank TEDx, New Jersey Public Libraries, and all of you. And I just want to check the temperature out there. I know that people, and you had incredible, speakers the whole day long. But sometimes,
Is your mic on?
check 1, 2.
Just check your.
Sure.
It's probably the same problem we did before.
Musicians never like sound checks.
Yeah, turn it off and turn it back on.
Check 1, 2. 1, 2, check. Oh, there we go. It's too loud. So sometimes, there's this tug of war happening between the mind and the heart, where the mind is sort of analyzing, and it sometimes wants to tell the heart to just shut up. Let me figure this out, what's happening. So if you're in that space, I know that it's happened to me during the day. This is just a moment before I tell you this, my riff is an opportunity, just all of you, to just tell the mind to shut up for a second, let the heart take over. Because when you see with the heart, all the masks fall down. So if you hear this rhythm, put your hands together. Everyone, come on. And listen with your heart.
tum ta na 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 na. Tum ta na 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 na. Ta na 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 re. Ta na 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 ta na 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 re. Tum ta na 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 ta na 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 re. Tum ta na 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 ta na 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 re. Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Mola. Keep singing. Tum ta na 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 re. Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Mola. Eh. Tum ta na 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 ta na 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 re. Tum ta na 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 ta na 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 re. Tomato mast kalandar Ali da pehla number. Tomato mast kalandar Sati Shahbaz kalandar. Tomato mast kalandar Ali da pehla number. Tomato mast kalandar. Tomato mast kalandar. Oh, tum ta na na re. So, you guys, great rhythm, great melody. So, culture humanizes what politics demonizes. When we allow ourselves to see with the heart, like I said, all the masks fall down. And there's nothing better than sounds which intersect, overlap cultures. I'll tell you a little, I'll begin with a story of a man who came up with this melody in the 13th century. Went by the name of Amir Khusro. And he was living at a time when there were Hindus and Sikhs and Muslims and Christians and Jains, a polyglot population living in South Asia. The countries which are now India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. And like most musicians, composers, he was jamming. Any musicians out there? So, you guys know what jamming is about, right? When you sit down, you don't really know where you're going, but you're following your heart. You're following your passion. So, Amir Khusro sat down, and he was listening to the music that was all around him. Music from Hindu culture, the bhajan devotional songs, Persian folk tunes, Arabic poems. He was a product of a multi-ethnic marriage. His mother was Indian, his father was Persian. And out of that jamming, Amir Khusro came up with these syllables. 13th century. There's no MySpace, no Facebook, no Twitter. Nothing to record this with, but it sounded good to his heart. And these syllables are known as tarana, T-A-R-A-N-A. So he decided that in order to bring different, diverse people together, he would get them to sing and clap with this melody, the tarana. Well, 700 or a little 800 years later, he's known as the father of Qawwali music, which is South Asian devotional music. And the tarana has been sung for 700 years, and it's sung right across the South Asian diaspora. From, traditional musicians to rock musicians to folk musicians, they've been singing this melody over and over again. And when everybody joins in, there's a sense of unity, a sense of community. And sometimes there's a circle of light which is created. So when I was maybe 6, 7 years old, I was born in Lahore, Pakistan. And there used to be, family weddings. And around that time, this family weddings wouldn't take place in community centers or hotels, but in your backyard. So my earliest memory of sound is a qawwali in which, this melody, the tarana, was being sung. And I didn't know the words, I didn't know the melody, I didn't know the rhythm, but I knew that my heart resonated with it powerfully. Also from South Asia, a poet by the name of Iqbal. He wrote a couplet, it's the early 20th century, and he said, and I'll translate it into English, he said that whisper in your heart, that whisper in your heart may not have wings, but it has the power to fly. So when I was same age, that was, your grandparents and your parents talked about that couplet a lot. That whisper in your heart. Follow the whisper in your heart. Didn't know much about that, what it meant, but remembered it. Fast forward. When I was about 11 years old, my family moved to Rockland County, New York. And coming from Pakistan to a suburban cocoon like Tapan, 9,000 miles away, I felt like, this is another planet completely. I was a complete cultural outsider. And for the first 2 years, my only two friends were radio and television. And, I would go to school, come back, watch TV, listen to the radio, and that was my life. Until one day, a boy in my middle school by the name of Danny Spitz, who went on to join the heavy metal band Anthrax. He came up to me and he said, "Sal, man, you got to do something. You are totally uncool." And I was, I was the only brown South Asian Muslim kid in school. And so Danny, out of self-pity, not self-pity, but, just empathy, or maybe he was trying to hustle a ticket to me, took out a red ticket and he said, "Brother, if you want to be cool, you have to go see a rock concert." And I said, whoa, thinking my mother, Shaheen, very conservative, how's she going to allow me to go to see a rock concert? He said, "Look, the entire school is going to this rock concert. It's a whole week of shows, and I have one ticket for Monday night. Now you could have this one ticket. And look, you can tell your mother that it's a school project, right?" So I bought the ticket, and I went to my mother and I said, "Look, if I don't go, I'll be behind." And and so my mother says, "Rock concert." She's panicking, and she looks at me looks into the eyes, and she says, "For Allah's sake, if you do drugs, I will disown you." But she decides to drive me to Madison Square Garden, but not before she makes me dress in a red and white striped pants, yellow floral shirt, black boots, and a matching black belt. And she takes me to Madison Square Garden. I ask her to, drop me off 2 blocks away. And I walk on the concrete pavement, and I see thousands and thousands and thousands of teenagers with expressions that say dazed and confused. Torn jeans, Led Zeppelin t-shirts. And I'm dating myself now majorly. This was Led Zeppelin's last tour of the United States. And so as I walk into the garden, I look around me, and there's sort of this teenage wasteland everywhere. And for 1 hour, all I see is smoke building up, and it smells kind of funny as well. And then the lights go down, and guy says, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Led Zeppelin." And then there's this tornado of sound. Guitars, bass, drums, Robert Plant's vocals, singing the Immigrant Song. And then I see the guitar player with a 2-headed guitar, dragons painted on his pants, long hair, and playing this. row, and everybody's screaming, Kashmir! I'm like, I'm 13 years old, but I know it's a very dangerous place to be. But 3 hours of that show, I stood there, watching, them go through everything, A Whole Lot of Love, Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven. And I stood up at the end of that show, and I said, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I listened to the whisper in my heart. And I came back home and told my mother that I want to buy a guitar. My mother said, passing infatuation, sure. Well, everybody else works, save up enough money, buy a guitar. So I worked as a busboy at the Blauvelt Coach Diner for 6 months, saved up about $200, and got a copy of the Les Paul, the Gibson Les Paul. And then I hid inside my room for 11th grade and 12th grade. And listening to everything from Zeppelin to the Beatles to Santana and Jeff Beck, and became a guitar geek. My parents couldn't get inside the room, so when a surgeon uncle was visiting from Pakistan, they sent him in to extract me. And Dr. Anwar walks into the room and he says, Beta, son, he says, like, there are doctors in this family on both sides of your family, both your mother's side and your father's side. Have you decided what you want to do? And right behind my surgeon uncle, there was a picture of Jimi Hendrix. And I said, Uncle, you see that guy? I want to be just like him. And so he walks back to my parents and says to them in Urdu, send him back to Pakistan right now. And so I was, the family moved back. I was put into medical school. But now the country that I had left, had changed radically. There was a military dictatorship, and you couldn't play any music on the radio, no music on TV, especially not guitar music. And for the first 6 months, it seemed like you landed in a parallel universe, and with no youth entertainment whatsoever, you started going crazy. So 60 of us in medical school decided that we were going to do a talent show, a secret talent show off campus. And we hired out a ballroom with whatever little money we had. And if you could tell a joke, if you could sing, or if you could play the guitar, even if you could juggle, you would have your 5 minutes of fame. So I decided what I wanted to do to blow away all these kids was to play Van Halen's Eruption. And for many of you who haven't heard that, it's a finger tapping heavy metal guitar solo. And I needed a drummer, and there was one kid in school whose name was Munir, but he was a big fan of Clint Eastwood. And so everybody knew him as Dirty Harry. And I said to Dirty Harry, I said, listen, all you need to do, he had his uncle's drum set, which was half a cymbal, a bass drum, and a snare. He said, all you need to do is to look at me and just hit the drums as hard as you possibly can. So the day of our talent show comes, and I'm connecting this with the whisper in my heart. The juggler goes, there are poets, there's some, singers, and we get on stage, and I hit the 3 chords, and I start wailing away. And as I close my eyes, I'm, all this pent-up frustration, not being able to follow my passion, I start hearing shrieks and screams, and I'm saying, these kids are loving this. And I get to the and the screams start getting louder and louder, and I'm saying, wow, I'm finally getting somewhere. But as I open my eyes, these screams are not of adulation and respect; they're of rage, because what had happened was someone had leaked out the fact that there was this den of fahashi vulgarity, a den of sin off campus. And so the music police, these extremists from religious parties had gate crashed, and they were screaming, "Harami, harami, harami, you bastards." And they started covering the girls up with chadors and burqas. And one of them came up to the stage, looked at me, and then grabbed my Les Paul and smashed it on the marble floor. So I was looking, I was 18 years old at that time, and my first thought was that, if anybody was going to smash my guitar, it should have been me. Here's this guy doing a Pete Townsend on my Les Paul. And that was a wake-up call. I think the whisper in the heart saying, well, are you going to follow your heart, or are you going to just run away? Are you going to confront your passion, or is fear going to win over that? So it took me a while, 3 to 4 years, to come to the fact that, this whisper is real. And what I need to do is to follow it and turn down the volume of the world, the noise of the world, and keep listening to it. And once I decided to follow my passion, it just got stronger and stronger. And it's taken me, to form the biggest rock band from South Asia, Junoon, and taken me to the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony, collaborated with Melissa Etheridge, Wyclef Jean, and I guess what I want to say today is that listening to all the different riffs, co-creating your culture, creating community, it all boils down to really that whisper in your heart. If you follow the whisper in your heart, it might not have wings, but it has the power to fly. So, before I play this tune, which is from one of my heroes, on April 22nd, Earth Day, my band Junoon was performing in Times Square. Mayor Bloomberg was there, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon was there, and the message we were putting out was this message of diversity, pluralism, coexistence, and people were, when music grips you, there's no division, there's only oneness. Just a week later, we had this, this failed terrorist attack, which really, cuts me in half, really, and also the Pakistani-American community living in the United States, because most of them, are teachers, they're, executives, business executives, they're writers, they're actors, they're singers, and what's awful is that it takes one idiot to wipe out all of that, and it becomes, 24/7, that's the news that you see, that's the picture you see. So again, I say, listen with the heart, because that's when the masks fall down. And this song, I'm sure some of you know the words to this, so do sing along, because this is one of my, heroes whose message was, give peace a chance. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no terrorism too. Sing with me. Imagine all the people You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine all possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Everyone together? Imagine all the people. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. Ta na 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 na, ta na 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 re. Ta na 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 na, ta na na na